Thanks for joining us on our streaming service for your drought alert. I'm your first alert meteorologist, Callie Zanandri. The latest drought monitor shows some improvements after last week's rain, especially across parts of the Denver metro area, including portions of Denver, Jefferson, and Arapahoe counties, as well as the eastern plains. But the northwest corner of the state missed out on the moisture, causing drought conditions to get worse, going from severe to extreme. As Colorado continues to deal with drought, wildfire risk, and changing climate, preparing for the future has never been more important. Today, we're taking a look at how we can build more resilient communities and better prepare for the challenges ahead. Joining me today is Courtney Schultz, the director of Colorado State University's School of Sustainable Futures. Welcome, Courtney.
Thanks, Callie.
Well, thanks for being here. CSU's School of Sustainable Futures takes a unique approach to thinking about the future. What is the school and why is it important to think about the future, even though we can't exactly predict what it'll look like?
Yeah, so the School of Sustainable Futures is part of our broader sustainability work at CSU. So we're really proud of the fact that we're top 3 in the world for sustainability in higher education and top 2 in the nation. It's been a big focus at CSU for many years, and our school was founded in 2007. Its former name was School of Global Environmental Sustainability, but we updated our name because it's really indicating our focus is on sustainability, but we're really thinking about the future, the futures we might face with intersecting challenges of climate change, the AI revolution, political conflict, all of those things. And futures work takes a unique approach to thinking about the future by using particular methods to kind of place yourself in the future, think about what you might be facing, and be better prepared for it. And the science shows that if you really intentionally think about the future, it makes you feel more hopeful, more of a sense of agency, and more resilient when things do come. So I think something really important for our communities we work with and for our students.
Yeah, definitely. Now, we've seen devastating wildfires here in Colorado and across the country this year. How strained are firefighting resources right now, and what challenges are communities facing?
Yeah, well, a memo just came out from the federal government saying that we're at preparedness level 5, which basically means all of our resources are allocated across the country. It's been a particularly difficult season so far, not only here in Colorado, but also in the Pacific Northwest. And it essentially said that almost all of the incident management teams, those teams that go out and work on complex fires, are allocated. So we're really tight nationwide. It's pretty unusual, and I think that's something that's going to be with us just because this is the peak of the fire season. It's going to pick up for a while. You know, as you know, a couple of the biggest fires in Colorado history started around this time or even later, so we're not out of the woods yet.
Yeah, especially with the hot conditions we're expecting going into the weekend. Now, drought is another major piece of the wildfire story. How does drought make wildfires worse, and why does it make recovery more difficult?
Yeah, drought is it's really interesting. This was such a crazy year in terms of record low snowpack and rainfall. So there's a number of things that does. One is that some fires started in places that might have been under snow earlier in the spring and summer. So that's difficult. It makes all the fuels dry, and that just means the trees, the shrubs, grasses, all of that's drier, so it might burn more intensively. But another thing that's kind of fascinating is that the estimates are that 85% of wildfires are actually from human ignitions. So about 15% come from lightning, 85% come from human ignitions. And so what that means is you can imagine the lightning season, and then people kind of extend the fire season to be year-round if there isn't snow on the ground. So when you have drought and all those human ignitions, then we have a lot of more fires starting at unusual times of year.
So important to do our part in being very, very cautious out there with not only if you're camping or even equipment that we use.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, it's being careful about equipment or even vehicles that can start fires, campfires, stoves, things like that. I mean, the biggest starts are always July 4th, but it's little things that we don't think about that can start fires. So if we can be more careful and careful in our communities, that's going to help us going to the rest of the year.
Now, the impacts of wildfires don't end when the flames are out. Why is it important to think about things like flooding, rebuilding, and long-term recovery efforts in communities after a fire?
Yeah, absolutely. There's often these big rainfall events after fires, and after fires, the soil is kind of slippery and prone to sliding. There's a lot of debris that'll flow off of post-fire landscapes. So, you know, after the Cameron Peak fire in my neighborhood, we saw some really devastating flooding and mudslides for a couple of years. So working on post-fire recovery is going to be really, really important, watching out for those atmospheric rivers that have become more common with the climate changing that'll come after fires. We have to be ready for that flooding. And then we have to think about how to recover communities. Sometimes that's replanting trees. A lot of times that's getting people back in their homes, making communities safe again. And then thinking about how can we use those post-fire landscapes as places where fire has cleared out a lot of fuel. So let's maintain them for the future, because it's also sometimes done some good work for us.
Now, looking ahead to 2050, projections show warmer conditions and potentially more frequent and larger fires. What could the future look like for Colorado, and how do we prepare for it?
Yeah, scientists estimate we're going to see 2 to 5 or 6 times more fire by mid-century. So that's hard to wrap your head around, right? We're already seeing so much. It's going to be more smoke. I think what's critical there is just to remember we live in these fire-prone landscapes. We have to be ready for it. Summer and fire seasons, this is going to be part of it. And there's a lot we can do to prepare. The Colorado State Forest Service has a lot of great resources if you go to their website for communities and for homeowners to prepare for fire. So that's great. You can harden your homes and make a huge difference when fire comes through. And I think we just also have to think about how do we talk to our neighbors about fuel mitigation around our homes, about readiness for evacuation, make sure people know to have their go bags ready and stuff like that. It's going to be really important going forward. This is going to be a part of our lives, and we love it here in Colorado. We're not going to, I think many of us aren't going to move away just because of this. So it's something we just have to prepare for so we can be resilient.
Yeah, it's kind of the new normal that we're facing, that it's not just summertime that we see fires, but 365 days a year.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we can clear fuels around our homes, we can see fires move through communities without so much destruction. And I think we can be much more ready for it.
Well, thank you so much, Courtney, for being here today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
And we'll be seeing you next week for your Drought Alert.